What is going on, guys? Chris here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, definitely consider subscribing, as my goal for 2021 is 5,000 subscribers. In this video, we're talking about the Sigma 100 to 400 millimeters f5 to 6.3. Yeah, I got that right. This is an amazing lens. It's really a beast. And to be honest, I was always really skeptical whether I should buy a super zoom like 100 to 400, as most photographers I realized had a 70 to 200 to cover their telephoto shots. But once you start shooting things past 200 millimeters, 300, 400, you get some amazing results. And that's really what we're gonna be talking about in this video. Now, the first thing I wanna talk about regarding this lens is the body, the size and weight. These are the tech specs, so basically it's size and weight, but I just wanna talk about how I felt when I was using it. This is surprisingly light. The body is plastic, but it does feel like a very solid plastic. It doesn't feel cheap at all. It almost feels like metal. And I honestly thought it was metal the first time I held it. But don't worry, the lens mount is metal, so don't worry about that breaking off or anything like that. The zoom is very smooth, as well as the focus ring is very smooth, but I tend to still use autofocus more. It does have a little lock here so that you can lock it and the zoom ring will not come in and out. This is good when you're trying to store your lens. You don't have to worry about it zooming in and out potentially in your camera bag and dust getting inside the lens. Now, the really cool stuff comes from these little switches here. You have an autofocus switch, a MO switch, and a manual focus switch like many lenses. Then you can choose your autofocus distance, whether it's from 600 to infinity or 1.6 meters to 6 meters. That's really helpful. The coolest part of this lens for me comes from the stabilization. It has two different stabilization modes, stabilization 1 and stabilization 2. I found that stabilization 2 didn't really do a good job, but stabilization 1 is fantastic, and paired with the Canon R6 with its built-in IBIS for photography, it is amazingly still. I was taking shots of the Eiffel Tower and I was zoomed all the way into 400 and the image was so still. It was really magical when I flipped the switch from IS on to IS off and then back again. You saw literally the image freeze once you turn on the IS. And this is honestly my favorite part about the lens. And then you have a custom 1, custom 2 button. I just keep that off as I don't really have any settings preset into it. And that's pretty much it. This is a very simple lens, but the images you can get of it are amazing. They are very sharp. To me, it doesn't seem as sharp as, for example, my Sigma 2414. I'm pretty sure the manufacturers can ensure that the elements and the sharpness are perfect with a lens like that, as you don't need to zoom in and out or anything like that, because from 100 to 400 you're really getting out there, but the image is decently sharp. Honestly, I had no problems with any distortion or anything that just didn't look right. It was a very clean image, and the fact that the aperture only goes from 5 to 6.3 means that when you zoom in you don't lose that much light, which was always something I worried about with lenses that didn't have a fixed aperture. The autofocus speeds work really well. I was surprised by that. I didn't really intend on using this for sports photography, but I think I might down the line. I always wanted to take pictures of my brother during his games, but with a 70 to 200, I really couldn't get the reach, and I saw a lot of pro photographers using really big white Canon lenses for fast autofocus of moving subjects, but I was able to fire at moving birds and really easily lock onto them, and the lens and the camera spoke perfectly to each other, and I was able to get really crisp shots of fast moving subjects. Now, the lens cap is a 67 millimeters. I always found it interesting that longer focal lengths had a smaller filter size, but then I realized, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Now, in terms of cons for this lens, I really don't feel like there are any, at least for me as of right now. I'm really excited to take this traveling to different countries and getting some really awesome compression, because I think that's the main selling point for a super zoom like this, especially when you get to 400 mil, the compression is crazy. So what I mean by compression is when you take a picture of, let's say, subject 1, which is kind of far away from you, and then there's a subject 2 that's even further, and yeah, they don't really look that far away because of the compression of 400 millimeters. Like, for example, this picture of the Eiffel Tower and the Concorde Tower here in Paris, these things are really far away, and it doesn't look like that in this picture because of the long focal length. And obviously your imagination can run wild with a lens like this. You can try to put yourself close to the moon, you can try to put yourself next to a large building that you find dope or something. Yeah, so compression is really something you can play with, and it's really fun actually. When I went out on a photo shoot with this, my imagination really started to expand, as I'm used to shooting things relatively wide, but with a super zoom like this, you really start to look further away from where you are and try to align things, and it's just a really cool experience. So this is definitely definitely gonna stay in my camera bag. I really need to update my camera bag video because the one I made before is really out of date. Whew. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I'm trying to keep my videos shorter right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to pick this lens up, I'll leave a link down in the description. I highly recommend it, as it really is a beast. Thank you so much for watching. Chris here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.